Hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to Big Book Week. I'm trying to do it every month, but we'll see if it continues. 1 week every single month where I am just reading big books, and that's all we're focusing on, and that's what we'll be vlogging this week. I'm so sorry that I didn't get the announcement out in time for July so that people could join me if they wanted to, as to when it was going to be taking place. I've been having a crazy low mental health month. Next time I will definitely get it out for you in time and we can all participate if you'd like to join me in August. But what am I going to be reading this week? I have a stack of books here that I am excited about, mixed thoughts about. Right on the top, I will definitely be getting to On a Sunbeam. I'm thinking about starting this today. It is a sci-fi graphic novel. It is 500 and something pages, so it fits within big book parameters. It is sapphic. It is about this woman, this young girl who goes to space to try to find, I believe it's her lost girlfriend. So I'm really excited to get to this one shortly. And then my book club's pick for the month is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, so I will be reading that. I'm not exactly sure which one is the top. I think I have these in backwards actually. So while the book is over 1,000 pages, I have this really cool edition where each copy is actually in its own unique little book. So I will be attempting to physically read this, but I do have the audiobook from my library if it gets too difficult, if I have too much on my plate. So this is a historical fiction magical realism book set in England, and we're going to be following 2 magicians, and that's pretty much all I know. If I finish those, I have a few backups. Number 1 is going to be finishing Glow. I have been reading this for since it came out, so a few weeks now, and I am at page 135 out of 720 pages, and I have just hit a wall with this book. I absolutely loved book 1 through 3, rated all of them 5 stars, but for whatever reason, this one is killing me. If I have time, I'd like to work on this week. It is a big book, so it fits. This is a fantasy romance where it's a King Midas retelling. It's book 4 in the series, so I don't have much to say about this one in particular, but I've talked a lot about the Plated Prisoner series on my channel. And then finally, if I have time, if I'm not feeling my books, if I want something a little bit different, I previously read The Bone Season, and then I started The Mime Order, and I never ended up finishing it, and I marked it as paused for a while. I marked it as DNF eventually. I'm so on the fence about this book. I did leave my bookmark inside of the book right where I left off. It's actually a blank piece of paper that I put in here. That's nice. And I did tab out how much I wanted to read every single day when I wanted to read this book, and I just never got hooked into it like I did with The Bone Season. If you haven't read The Bone Season, it's an adult dystopian that takes place in England, and what I really enjoyed about that book was the second half of the book where our main character kind of gets sent to this place for her crimes being that she is a clairvoyant, which means that she has these special abilities, and that is outlawed. And I really loved the second half where she was sent away for her crimes. I didn't really care about the part where she was like in England doing crimes. So far, all of this book has been is her doing crimes in England. No wonder I'm not enjoying it, but I've always wanted to pick it back up and try it again. So it does technically fit in, I believe it's like 520 pages. So if I can get to it, if I need like an extra book, if I finish everything else and I want something else, this is just like a backup option. I am taking a break. It is Friday, so it is my day where I am working from home, working on my side business, working on my art. So I have done a lot of work this morning. I am about to stop for lunch right now after I do one final little thing. So when I stop for lunch, I am going to be picking this up and reading it. There is a chance I just read the entire thing in one sitting today, in which case I will need another physical book, but there's also a chance that I read, 100 pages of it, maybe half of it. It's going to depend on the speed of the graphic novel. I am going to take the rest of today pretty easy. I am bringing my brother and his wife dinner because they just had a baby rather recently, so I cooked them dinner and I'm gonna go over and have a meal with them tonight. But other than that, I don't have anything else set in stone, and tomorrow I'd like to have another easy chill day. There will be some painting, there will be some reading, there will be just some enjoyment of things, hopefully. today I have some updates for you all. I'm going to start off first with what I didn't finish up last week. I decided this morning to wake up and just finish Violet Made of Thorns. It's not a big book, but I hadn't finished it and I really wanted to before I got into big book week and I just couldn't manage to do it. So I finished it this morning instead. It took me like 45 minutes to get it wrapped up. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I wanted to tell you all that I finished it and I will talk about it in my wrap up, but it comes out July 26th if you're a fan of YA. Kind of, it feels like a magical folklore retelling. Like it has like some Disney princess vibes, but also our main character is a actual walking disaster. I think you'd like it. It lost me a little bit in the second half, but overall it was an enjoyable read. I finished On a Sunbeam yesterday, which is actually a big book, so we can talk about it today. Didn't love this, to be completely honest. I found myself not as mesmerized as I wanted to be. So the artwork is absolutely fantastic and beautiful. If you want some examples of what the artwork looks like, I did a whole entire video on TikTok about it where you can just like see all of the pages. But I have flipped through I think a few times here and I showed you guys some random shots. So it is the story of a young girl who we're following her in two different timelines. One when she's a freshman in high school and she is meeting this new girl for the first time and the two of them fall in love and then something happens and they have to be separated. And then 5 years later when she gets her first job, which is doing construction in space, and they fly around on these giant space fish and they repair construction places, and eventually she reveals to these people that she wants to go and find her girlfriend from 5 years ago in order to like clear up some things that happened. But her girlfriend lives in a isolated land, like the place no one is allowed to go to in this world because of like political reasons. I found this story very juvenile and I felt like I was struggling to tell the difference a lot of times between our character from the past and the present because she really did not have much growth in those 5 years. And I understand that there's not like maybe a huge difference between 14 and 19, but there's a big enough difference that I think she could have been written more mature in the second half. But honest to God, when she was 14, she really acted more like she was 10. And when she was 19, she acted more like she was 15. And then I feel like the storyline lost me in a few particular places. There is a non-binary character in this story who has been through some trauma and therefore chooses not to speak, does not have the ability to speak. And I would have liked that storyline and that whole entire progression to have just been done slightly differently, because actually I'm just going to say it, the character does eventually speak, but only to two characters in the book, and then goes right back to not speaking, and it's not really discussed as to why that character chooses to speak to certain characters and not others. And I think it could have just been developed in a way where we didn't have to see them speak, or we could have seen why they were finally able or comfortable to speak with people. In this book, there are no men, which I'm fine with. I just really would like the author to tell me how we get to that world. I had a good time reading it. The pictures were absolutely beautiful, and the art, the colors were fantastic. I loved how the author actually did all of the illustrations and coloring herself, and I really liked how the colors came out. They were the best part, honestly, of this whole entire story. I think that maybe if they had had an editor, they could have knocked out a few of these pages or reordered some things a little bit to make the story better. And I wasn't personally a fan of the typography they chose. It's a very handwritten font, and I had a few times where I couldn't read certain things because of how close the letters were together. That kind of stuff doesn't generally affect my rating. Generally comes down to the story and the characters and everything like that. So I did end up rating this a 3 out of 5 stars. That's it for that. And then last night I finally started Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I have the set where it's like 3 little books. So I am counting it as one book because altogether they are 1,000 pages and I'm reading it as one giant book on Goodreads. But I only made it one chapter in, which was 20 pages. This one's going to take some energy to get through. I enjoyed what I read last night, but the way that it is written definitely is like that, think like Pride and Prejudice style type of writing. Early 1800s, these, so far I'm following 2 magicians who are not our main characters, and they are on a quest to figure out why England no longer has magic. And so they contact Mr. Norrell, who is also a magician. And basically in this world, magicians are anyone who study magic, not necessarily people who can use magic. And they contact Mr. Norrell in the first chapter, and they go to his house to see some things and read some books that he has and try to figure out where magic went. And when they get there, he basically is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I myself am quite tolerable, practical magician. So basically he's saying he can still use magic. And so I think the rest of the story is going to be about him, Mr. Norrell, who's an older man who can use magic, and his assistant sidekick student, Jonathan Strange, who he is training to use magic. I have the audiobook, and I think I'm going to try to read a few chapters today with the audio and physically reading. I am highlighting as I go. I like it. The writing is very beautiful and it's very funny. I wasn't expecting it to be so funny, and I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, because I find a lot of times these like period pieces they have undertones of humor that you might not necessarily understand if you don't speak the way that the characters speak. If you read enough of these and you start to understand what they're saying, they're usually genuinely funny. And so there were like multiple times where I was like chuckling to myself. For instance, there was this quote on page 1 where she said, "They were gentlemen magicians, which is to say they had never harmed anyone by magic, nor done anyone the slightest good." And like, that's funny. That's really funny because she's calling out gentlemen for not doing shit. I'm going to try a chapter from both Glow and the Mime order and see like which one I'm in the mood to physically read, but I'm not going to do that this morning. I'm going to go over to my grandma's and we're going to play some games, and I'm going to see my aunt and uncle later this afternoon, and I think my brother, sister, nephew, family a little bit too. And then I don't think I'm going to paint anymore. I might play on my Switch this evening because I've been wanting to do that. I don't think I'm going to start like really getting into another book until maybe tomorrow. Okay, so I was right. It is much later that same day when I am finally able to sit down and do some reading. So I tried a chapter of the Mime order, and I don't know what is up with this book, but I just don't enjoy it. So I read about 20 pages and I genuinely like can't get into it, and that's how I felt. I'm past page 200 now at this point, and it's how I've been feeling the entire time. I'm definitely not going to push through this right now because I am feeling like reading. Like I just want to like sit and marathon unlove a book, and so this will just go back on my, I don't know what to call it, shelf, because it's not really paused, but it's not totally DNF'd. But it is DNF'd on Goodreads. And then I know I'm not in the mood for fantasy romance, so I'm not even going to attempt to read some more of this, because when I'm in the mood for this, I'm going to know and I'm going to love it. I thought it would be fun to pull something from the jar. Some of these I know are library books. I don't have my phone on me either, of course. So some of these are library books, so I might not be able to have access to them, and some of them I might just not be in the mood for. But since this is kind of like an optional pick, because I've already read On a Sunbeam, and I am currently reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which by the way, I'm 150 pages in, and it's a ride. If I pull something that I definitely don't want to read, I always have the option of putting it back or switching it up, right? That's basically what I'm trying to say. I have picked one. Okay, so the issue with this is I only have the audiobook for this. We're gonna set this aside. It's The Inadequate Heir by Danielle L. Jensen. I need a physical book though, so I will put that back in after I pull another one, which will hopefully be a physical book. Plus it is fancy romance. Okay, I pulled 2, so I'm gonna read this one first, and if it doesn't work, we'll read this one. I've already read this one. What the heck? Okay, apparently I haven't cleaned out the jar since I made it, which was like a month ago. So this one we got She Who Rides the Storm, which is 608 pages. Let me put this back in and grab that for us. Okay, so this is a YA fantasy, multiple POVs. I believe that a long time ago there were shapeshifters who were all killed off, and as long as you don't disrupt their grave, you're safe and they like can't come back to life. But our main characters are sent on a quest to steal something from their grave. So I will read a few chapters of this tonight and tomorrow, and I will come back to you all and let you know how Jonathan Strange is going and how this book is going. Happy Monday. I've just been chilling most of today. I got all of my video editing done this past weekend. So that means this week I literally have to make a thumbnail. I think I need to make 2 and then that's it. So I am very excited to take it easy, and I have just been reading and eating good food and playing video games this evening. So I did finish up the red book for Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is 261 pages. So I will be starting the black book tomorrow. After page like 50, 60, somewhere around there, I have been listening to the audio pretty much exclusively. Just a lot easier to get through with the audio. I do recommend the audiobook if you're trying to read this book and you like audiobooks. It's a great way to read it. The narrator does a really good job, and I don't feel like I'm missing any of the story by listening to it. I still can't believe how funny it is. I like the magical realism aspects, and I really like our 2 main characters, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. They are some of the most relatable people I have ever read about, but the story itself is quite boring, and I am struggling to want to continue a lot of times with it. I will be continuing, I will be finishing, but I definitely hit moments where I'm like, I could take it or leave it. I did start She Who Rides the Storm. I took the dust jacket off last night, but I only read 1 chapter, which was 15 pages. Right now, because I have read some more today, I am at page 70 or 75, 73. So I'm going to sit down now. I'm going to stop playing Skyward Sword, which is what I've been doing the last 45 minutes. And I'm just going to read this until I fall asleep. So I'm hoping I can break page 100, maybe get a little bit past, but I'm not expecting to get really far past that because it is 9:22. Did unfortunately have to start another book that doesn't fit into Big Book Week. So we won't be talking about it, but my hold from the library was due and I didn't realize that. I didn't plan at all for this week. So what happened is last time I did Big Book Week, it was a complete accident actually. I started out with my TBR-opoly and I knew what I needed to read for the month, and I kind of have a general idea of the order I'm going to read things in, and it just so happened that my really big audiobook and my really big physical book lined up with each other, and then I decided to make it a thing because I had so much fun with that. So this month I planned for it and I scheduled things out and I worked things out accordingly, and I cannot seem to make it work. Yesterday I had to finish up Violet Made of Thorns, and today I had to start an audiobook which is only 300 pages. So I'm going to get through it really quickly, but I aimed this time to do it and I'm not able to do it. What? But I guess that's how things be sometimes, right? So I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying my other audiobook. I'll talk about it more another time, probably in my wrap up. I'm hoping, really my goal now is just to finish She Who Rides the Storm and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell with you all before the end of this week, which I will hopefully be vlogging until Sunday. It will all depend on how busy I am. Hello and welcome to Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my dudes! Oh, I love when I get to do that. How is this week going for you all? I feel like this week is a lot better mental health, physical health wise than last week was. I definitely had some struggles. We're not at 100%, but it's feeling a lot better. And I have some book things to say to you all. So as you know, I did finish the red book for Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and I'm looking around because I don't know where the black book went. Eek. Oh my god. So I'm now in the black book, which is volume 2, which is officially called Jonathan Strange, and I am on page 100 of this. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell me how many pages that is overall, but I do know that the red book was 261 pages, so 102 pages with that is 365, let's call it. So I am, according to my phone's audiobook, 33% through this book. And I am not going to lie, every single moment of listening to this book is work. It is hard work. I don't want to read this book. I absolutely don't want to do it. And the only reason why I'm continuing is because it's for my book club, and it's honestly not that bad. There are some really great moments, and when the great moments are there, it's all I want to do. But when the great moments aren't there, it's like a struggle bus. Just getting through the parts that I don't care about is so difficult. Going to keep going. I just haven't listened to any of it today. What I have been doing is I actually found my Switch again and like found my joy for my Switch again. This happens like every few months. I put my Switch down and I don't play for it for a while, and then I pick it back up and all of a sudden that's like all I want to do with my life. So I've been playing Skyward Sword, which I didn't end up finishing when I originally played through. So I've been playing through from there. And while I'm playing through, because it doesn't take like a ton of thought, because I've played enough Zelda games, I kind of know like what I need to do most of the time. I'm playing this in the background at like, I think right now I'm at like a times 2.2, but I might be still at a 2. I'm not totally sure. So I'm making my way through it. It's my book to listen to when I get to play Skyward Sword, so I kind of get a treat in order to finish this. I'm trying to do like 2 hours a day. I'm absolutely not gonna get that done today because it is Wednesday and I'm gonna go over to my parents' house. Probably won't be home until like 7:38, and then by the time I shower and get ready for bed and everything, it's just not going to happen. But I am enjoying this book, and I am at page 120, I wanna say. I wanted to be much further along in this than I am, but I have been so extremely tired the last few nights that I get into this and I read like 10 pages and then I am ready to turn the lights off and go to sleep. So I've just been allowing myself to do that instead of trying to push through, because there have been a few moments where I've been reading this book and I genuinely have no clue what's going on. And I think it's because I'm so tired. So I've had to like go back and reread, and I'm trying to stop that. So I'm trying to read this when I am able to focus on it, which unfortunately means I get like a few minutes during my lunch break and then maybe a few minutes when I get home from work and then right before bed. And so it's just, I'm not getting through it as fast as I'd like. But I am really enjoying this, and I wanted to wait to talk to you guys about this book until I came across everything that was under the dust jacket. But I'm 120 pages in, which is like 20-something% through the book. It's 600 pages, and I haven't hit everything that's under the dust jacket. I finally, around page 80 or 90, hit the 4th POV. I'm getting to the point where I'm really close to hitting everything under the dust jacket, so let's talk about what this book is about. So we are following 4 POVs, 4 young adults in this magical world. The world itself is very interesting to read about, and in this world, long time ago, there were shapeshifters. All of the shapeshifters were killed off and buried, and it is believed that as long as you don't disrupt their graves, they cannot come back from the dead. In this society also, there is kind of a like ruling class, and that ruling class is very religious based, and then there is like the common folk. And the religious class, let's say religious trauma runs deep in this place. So one of the characters we're following, she has the ability to smell extremely well, and she is like a finder. So people request things that they want and she goes off and finds them for a fee. Her assistant is what do they call him? He is part of the Devoted. He ran away about a year ago with this haunting image of his sister, which we get to learn about, and I'm obsessed with that storyline. I'll talk about it in a second. And so he's hiding from the Devoted, which is the like ruling religious class. He is working with her in order to get enough money that he can run away to a place where he'll be safe and not have to be like hidden all of the time. The 3rd POV is the girl that is also a Devoted, was like at the same level as him. They like came up through the ranks together, and she doesn't want to be there, and she is conflicted constantly, like, why did my friend run away and leave me here, and now I'm stuck in this awful high position in this religion and I can't escape it, and that's all I want to do is just get out, and my friend got out and now they're wanting me to be the one to hunt him down and find him, and I don't even want to be here. And then the 4th POV, Mateo, who I just finally met, is like the son of an archaeologist, and he has this withering disease that I think I'm going to learn more about as it goes, and it kind of makes you forget everything. And his father believes that the way to cure that disease is through excavating these sites and finding stuff that was buried with the shapeshifters. I don't think she's a shapeshifter. I think she's one of the gods. Finding this metal that was buried with these shapeshifters and using it for a cure, basically. So there is a god in this world who actually like speaks in the mind of some of our characters, and I think that's who this is. Caliste, I think is what her name is. But also I wanted to talk a little bit about Nox's sister. Where I'm at, we learn that she has passed, and when she died, it was when he was like becoming a devoted, and somehow her consciousness was put into this sword that Nox carries around, and he can hear her voice inside the sword, which I love. Talking swords. I think it's such a fun trope. I've only ever seen it in Warbreaker / other Cosmere books, and then Empire of the Vampire. And what I love about this book is, like those two, they definitely get the idea that a sword's personality would be kill, like take me out and use me and kill me. And so even though she was like a normal girl, she's slowly going insane and slowly losing it and slowly becoming like a you need to unsheath me and you need to kill these people kind of a personality, and I'm here for it. I don't think I'm going to finish this before the end of the video, but we never know because I do have this weekend. But I'm just looking at like tonight, I'm probably not going to do much reading, and tomorrow night I'm going to see Thor, so I'm probably not going to do much reading then. Friday I am hosting some sprints on my channel, so maybe, but honestly I kind of want to put this on and just like paint and try to get through Jonathan Strange a little bit more. I'm also like in the mindset, I finished my other audiobook today that I've been listening to because the hold had to come in, and so I finished it, and it was really nice having a second audiobook besides just Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So I kind of want to pick up something else, and I do have A Queen in Hiding, which I need to read because it's part of TBRopoly, and I have technically started. I'm like 3 chapters into it, and I'm really liking it, but it's like just short of big enough to be a big book. I think it was 477 pages. I just got out of Love and Thunder. It's very good. I enjoyed myself very much. Hello, welcome to Sunday. It's the last week. It's the last day of this reading vlog. So I'm actually going to close out here because I have barely done any reading in the past few days. I haven't made any progress in She Who Rides the Storm. I'm still at whatever I last told you I was at. I'm enjoying the book. I want to pick it up. I have just been incredibly busy this week. I have made some progress in Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'm almost done with the Black Book, and that's kind of my goal today, is to finish up volume 2. So if you have all 3 of them together, I am very close to 55% through this. I'm struggling still. I feel like the last few chapters have been good ones, and that's what really sucks, is when the chapters are good, it convinces me that I should keep giving it a shot. But when the chapters aren't good, it's really hard to want to keep reading. But I am gonna finish this volume and make a decision then. But I feel like if I get to the end of this volume, my brain's gonna be like, just finish it, just freaking finish it. That means this week I read On a Sunbeam, which was 530 pages. I read about 150 pages of She Who Rides the Storm, and I read close to, with audio, 550 pages, let's call it, because it's 55%. Of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So really good progress. I'm really happy with that. It wasn't what I wanted to have done, but with everything else that was happening this week, I am very accepting and very okay with that. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're having a good time, and I hope you'll join me next month for August's big book week. I have some plans. I looked ahead at my calendar and I have some big books that I want to read before the end of this year. So I will be having books that I've selected for myself, and I will also be drawing from the jar whenever I can. In August, my book club is going to be reading The Sword of Cayenne, so I'll be rereading it. That'll be my audiobook. I don't know what my physical book will be, of course. I never know that far in advance with physical books, but it'll probably depend on what happens in TBR-opoly. So if you want to know what I'll be reading in August, that video will be coming not too long from now, and I'll be letting you all know. But I have plenty of books on my bookshelf that are big books, and I have the library, and it's all good. I will see you all on Friday. Friday's video is very exciting, so I hope you subscribe, stay tuned, and check out that video as well. But without further ado, I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I will talk to you in the comments. Bye!